Ooh, what's going on, guys? It's Horse Beef here, and today I'm doing something a little different to what I normally do. I'm not usually the predictions guy. I'm not usually like the betting picks kind of guy, but I'm pretty excited for UFC 304 and didn't really have any other ideas for videos to make, so I decided I would just go through the entire card for you guys for UFC 304 for this upcoming weekend. Because I do think there are some interesting matchups here. I'm just going to go quickly through the early prelims and the prelims and then get more in-depth with the main card. So it turns out I'm taking everything the Weasel worked for, baby, so let's just get into it. And getting into the early prelims here, first off we have Shauna Bannon versus this Alice lady. I don't know much about either of these ladies in all honesty, but I'm picking Shauna Bannon based off of nothing at all. So next one we got Mick Parkin versus Lucas Brzezinski. Now I'm picking Mick Parkin. I think he will maintain that undefeated record, rather dominant on the ground, and I do think he'll get it done by some kind of a mauling via ground and pound on the ground. No shit, in the first round against Lucas Brzezinski. Sam Patterson versus Kiefer Crosby. Now I think Kiefer Crosby has a chance here and just slugging it out and landing a big shot on Sam Patterson. But I just think Sam Patterson's frame and his well-roundedness. I think it's actually very possible that he could win this fight by submission, or Kiefer Crosby KOs him. But I think the more realistic outcome here is that Sam Patterson outpoints him to a decision. Muhammad Mokaev versus Manel Kape. Now this one's been moved down to the early prelims because allegedly there are worries about Manel Kape having to pull out and not making weight again, which if that's the case, then Manel Kape has lost a fan in me, because this was my third most anticipated fight on the card other than the two title fights. So if this fight gets canceled now and I have to go through not being able to watch Manel Kape again, I'm going to be pissed and just completely abandon this fool, because that's crazy if he doesn't make weight once again. But if this fight does happen, I do have Manel Kape to piece him up on the feet. I could even see a knockout here, although we haven't really seen Muhammad Mokaev too tested within the UFC yet, like other than by Alex Perez. But I mean I think it's quite reasonable to say that Manel Kape has a lot more venom on the feet and offers a lot more threat on the feet. So I think if anyone's going to hurt him, it would be Manel Kape. But ultimately, I think he'll maybe like drop Muhammad Mokaev a few times, stuff some takedowns, maybe scramble with him a bit on the ground. Maybe even Mokaev can put him in some danger there. But I think as long as this fight's on the feet, Manel Kape is on a different level. But of course, that all depends on this fight even happening in the first place. Then we have Oban Elliott versus Preston Parsons. Now this one, it's not as much of a pick'em as I have it to be. For me, this is a complete pick'em type of fight. But I know Preston Parsons is favored in the actual betting odds. But I have Oban Elliott by decision, and then Modestas Bukauskas, I have him by knockout in the second round. And I do think that his frame and striking differential between the two more favoring Bukauskas. I just think that it's a recipe for a second round knockout. I think you'll piece him up in the first and then put him away in the second. And then we get into my prelim picks. Now there's only 3 fights in the prelims now after everything's been shuffled around. I don't know if this is the official order of the card yet, honestly, but this is what it shows when I type in UFC 304 on Google. So we're just going to go with this. And with Jake Hadley versus Loughran, I'm not exactly sure how to pronounce his Irish first name because I know Irish pronunciations are wild. So if you guys know, let me know in the comments because I am curious to know exactly how to say that name. But I do have Loughran by decision. I think both guys will have more of a grappling heavy approach. But I do expect Loughran to be a bit more dominant in that department and just get it done by decision. I don't expect anything crazy. I think they'll neutralize one another on the ground in all honesty. But I can also see either guy winning by decision. But ultimately, Loughran by decision. I also have Bruna Brazil over Molly McCann. Now, Molly McCann, I believe, is a pretty heavy favorite here. Me personally, I don't really rate McCann that much. I think Bruna Brazil has the edge on the ground. And I think on the feet, she's longer. She probably doesn't hit as hard, or she's not probably as explosive as Molly McCann. But I do think that she's more well-rounded and will get it done. And I'm absolutely biased here because I find Molly McCann to be extremely, extremely insufferable to listen to. So just for my own ears' sake, so I don't have to listen to some insufferable post-fight speech by Molly McCann, I'm hoping that Bruna Brazil beats her in some way, hopefully by finish, but I would expect it to be done by decision. And Nathaniel Wood, I feel like it's the obvious pick, second round sub over Daniel Pineda. I just feel like Daniel Pineda is such a journeyman at this point, and Nathaniel Wood has the experience, but he's had more success at the high levels, and he is well-rounded, good striking, good power in his hands, and a great grappling pedigree. I do feel like he can get it done any way he wants, but in the end, I do think second round submission makes sense. And then we have Arnold Allen versus Giga Chikadze, the fight opening up the main card of UFC 304. Now, this is a tough fight to pick, in my opinion, because I think that Arnold Allen, despite being very tough throughout his career. I think he's shown some signs of chin deterioration, getting dropped by Max Holloway and hurt. I think the cumulative damage that he took in that fight has affected him, considering he went into that Evloev fight and actually got stunned a couple of times by him. I believe dropped as well. And Evloev has never really been a power puncher to begin with. So unless Evloev improved big time in the striking and is now throwing with much more power, it could also just point to the damage that Arnold Allen has taken throughout his career so far. So I think if Giga is to get this one done, he'll get it done in the first round. But the further this fight goes, because I would say that Giga has about a round and a half of him of full power striking, and then he noticeably starts to decay a little bit. And I think that's where Arnold Allen will take over. I think he might even hurt Giga in the second round, and we might even see like a shorter version of what happened against Calvin Kattar here. I do think that Giga may have a little bit of success at the beginning, might even rock Arnold Allen, but I think he'll have the toughness, he'll have the grit to push forward, put Giga on the back foot, and potentially finish him in the third round. So that's what I'm actually going to pick. I'm going to pick Arnold Allen by third round TKO. I think that's how he's going to get it done. Although I'm not super confident, I can absolutely see a scenario where Giga Chikadze knocks him out with a head kick in the first round. So I'm not counting my chickens on this pick, but that is my pick as things stand. Arnold Allen to TKO Giga Chikadze in the third round. And the second fight on the main card is now Christian Leroy Duncan versus Gregory Rodriguez. Now, I recently spoke about Gregory Rodriguez and how I want him to fight Shara Abdullah. I think that would be a banging fight. But this is a very, very tough matchup for Gregory. I feel like Leroy Duncan, he is maybe more crisp on the feet, maybe has more tools. He throws spinning attacks. He loves the leg kick. And Gregory Rodriguez is just a hard-nosed brawler and throws absolute bombs. So it is a matchup of two very different styles. But ultimately, even though logically it makes sense to pick Christian Leroy Duncan here because of the stylistic matchup, I just feel like Gregory Rodriguez always has the ability to dig deep and find that finish at some point. So I'm going to pick Gregory Rodriguez by first round KO. I think he's going to put this dude away, although I can see it happening in the opposite direction. But it seems like to get Gregory Rodriguez out of the fight, you have to put him out completely. You have to knock him out like a Bruno Ferreira did. You literally have to. You cannot get this guy off you. And I do think I think that at this point Gregory has had enough experience in the UFC. He's been through wars, and it's just very hard to deter this man from coming forward. Like, you really have to crack him and put him out. Like I said, you can't give this guy a second to recover. As if you do, he's gonna come back and hunt your ass down. And I think that's what's gonna happen here. Maybe even Christian Leroy Duncan catches him with some kind of an elbow or a knee up the middle, even that hurts him, and then I think he'll fail to put Gregory away, and Gregory will then turn the tables and finish him in the first round. I think it'll be one of those first round wars that we see from Gregory, and it'll be a banging fight, I believe, for as long as it lasts. And the next fight up on the main card is one that I do anticipate quite heavily, man. Bobby Green versus Paddy Pimblett. I've been hoping this fight would get put together for, I would say, a couple of years now at this point, man. I've been waiting for Paddy Pimblett to get that proper test, and I feel like he's finally found it, man. And I do think that he's going to lose this one. And I'm thinking by decision. I do think that Bobby Green will get this one done by decision. On the feet, it's pretty much night and day, man. The complete lack of striking defense from Paddy Pimblett combined with Bobby Green's improved offense. Honestly, I feel like he's improved with his offensive boxing, and he is actually punching with more power than he ever has before. And he's putting the damage on fools. And I wouldn't be surprised if Paddy Pimblett's face looks like he went through a meat fucking grinder by the end of this fight, man, because honestly, Bobby puts volume on guys, and he is dealing damage nowadays. And it's not like it's all cut and dry where if the fight goes to the ground then it's Paddy's fight, and if it stays on the feet it's Bobby Green's fight. Because I do think that if it stays on the feet, it is absolutely 100% Bobby Green's fight, and Paddy Pimblett has no chance, and he will get steamrolled. But it's not like Bobby Green's a slouch in the grappling department. I mean, he is a decent wrestler, and he has experience at the highest level. So the only advantage I think that Paddy has in this fight is the jiu-jitsu and the youth and potentially the size as well. But I think the striking differential and the lack of fight IQ from Paddy Pimblett combined with the lack of defense, this could be the fight where we see Paddy Pimblett's unbreakable chin finally get cracked and him get put on wobbly legs and get sliced and diced and completely beat up on the feet. I can definitely see that happening here, but it wouldn't even surprise me if Paddy Pimblett pops up with some random rear naked choke at some point and gets it done and rubs it in all our faces. I'm fully prepared for that outcome, absolutely, but I am picking Bobby Green by decision here. And then we get into the co-main event, which is Tom Aspinall versus Curtis Blaydes for the interim heavyweight title. Now, I feel like this one is not nearly as cut and dry as some people think. I feel like a lot of people are picking Tom Aspinall here, and I don't blame you at all, right? He has a speed advantage on the feet. I can't exactly say he has the power advantage, but it's a bad look for Curtis Blaydes, knowing that Tom Aspinall just knocked out Sergey Pavlovich, and Sergey Pavlovich steamrolled Blaydes in the first round. But every fight is different, and Curtis Blaydes is a stylistic matchup for a majority of heavyweights. And as Curtis Blaydes has said himself, man, fighting at heavyweight is a completely different sport. You can get knocked out at any point, right? Look at how Aspinall technically got finished by Blaydes the first time they fought, but he just did his ACL in. But it seems like anything can happen at heavyweight. And I do want to pick the man with more ways to win here, and I do think that it's Curtis Blaydes. I think he'll get it done. I know he's fumbled the bag many, many times when he got to that top level. He really has. I get that 100%. But I think this might be his time. I don't know. There's something telling me that Curtis Blaydes gets it done here. Curtis Blaydes has a lot of power in his hands. He really does. Like his right cross is very sharp, and I feel like if he lands that just clean on Aspinall, then I feel like he can finish him. And I have a weird feeling here, man. There's something very strange telling me that Curtis Blaydes gets this one done, man. I think people might just be overlooking him too much and overhyping Aspinall because he put out Pavlovich. But look at what Volkov just did to Pavlovich, man. Maybe Pavlovich was never as good as we thought he was, right? And maybe Curtis Blaydes, because he's seen more high-level competition than Aspinall has. He's fought higher-level competition, and he's beat higher-level competition. And I just feel like he'll carry that into this fight and get it done. I really do. So Curtis Blaydes by second round finish, I think he'll get it done, man. I know we haven't exactly seen Aspinall's chin tested, but as we know, and as I said earlier on into this prediction, heavyweight is just a different sport. It's a completely different sport. Anything can happen, and I'm taking my chances on Curtis Blaydes here. I can see him dropping him with a right cross or something, and then putting nasty ground and pound on him, because I don't think Aspinall wants to be underneath Curtis Blaydes. He's one of the best wrestlers in that division and has some of the nastiest, seriously the nastiest ground and pound in the division. Some of the nastiest we've seen in heavyweight history, in my opinion. So I do think he has more ways to win, and I think he'll get it done, man. And then we have Leon Edwards versus Belal Muhammad. The main event. Is anyone really excited for this fight? I feel like it has the potential to be an absolute bore fest. Now, I'm very much hopeful that I'll be wrong about this. Believe me, I don't want this to be as boring as I think it'll be. But I do think that both men stylistically are just so boring that it has to be a boring fight. But then again, sometimes two exciting fighters go against each other and then they nullify one another and then it becomes a boring fight. So maybe two boring styles come together and make a slugfest, which I'm hoping happens, man. But if we're really basing our predictions off of what happened in the first go-around between these guys, I know it ended in a very nasty eye poke from Leon Edwards. I don't blame Belal Muhammad from going down there. Anyone clowning him for that, you have no idea how much that eye poke probably hurt him. The guy was bleeding out of his eye, for fuck's sake, and his finger literally went in, came out, and scratched the inside of his lower eyelid as it was coming out. That's some wild shit. It was one of the nastier eye pokes I've personally seen. So I don't blame Muhammad one bit. Maybe that's why he has a weird droopy eye on one side. Who knows, honestly. But this one is so hard to pick for me. I feel like stylistically Belal Muhammad is the logical pick, but at the same time we've seen Leon deal with Usman's grappling, especially in their second fight. We saw him completely deal with Covington's grappling. And I just don't see Belal Muhammad really offering much more than those two guys. Maybe a higher pace. Maybe he'll fight the way that we all expected Colby Covington to fight and give Leon a tougher test. But I just think on the feet, Leon possesses so much more danger. I don't really think there's much danger in the hands, but I do think that the kicks from Leon are way too much for Belal Muhammad to deal with. He did put Belal in some serious danger with that left cross followed by the high kick combination that he knocked out Usman with. He caught Belal with that exact same combination and put him on wobbly legs in the first time. And it just looked like one-way traffic, honestly, up until the eye poke. And I do expect more of the same in this matchup, although I don't think that Leon will finish Belal. I do think that he will win by decision. I'm thinking probably 49-46. It could even be a little bit closer. I could even see like a split decision here because this fight could very well be very close. But I'm fully prepared for Belal Muhammad to go out there and steamroll Leon Edwards and win that title, because at this point, what we've seen is that Belal Muhammad, as boring as he is, he honestly is a pretty decent individual. So I wouldn't mind the guy winning a title. Like he does a lot for his community. He does a lot for Palestine, right? And I feel like he deserves that title, right? In the exact same way that Leon deserved it when he finally got his title shot after all those wins in a row. Belal is in that same position. So if he is to win, I will be happy. But unless he majorly improved in the striking department, I do see Leon Edwards getting this one done. With the striking differential combined with the takedown defense that he's displayed recently, I just don't really see a path to victory for Belal Muhammad other than a brutal decision. So I am picking Leon here by decision. I know that kind of goes against what I said about Belal, but I really think this one ends in a decision either way it goes. But yeah, as I keep saying, I expect Leon to win this one, and that is the end of my UFC 304 predictions. Let me know what you guys think, if you agree, if you disagree, and if you want me to continue making prediction videos for every major UFC card coming up, because I wouldn't mind doing that. I just don't want to cover every little fight night that I don't really care about, like the one that just passed. The fights were bangers. The fights really were bangers. I enjoyed almost every single one of them on that card. But those are the types of cards that don't really inspire me to make my picks. I just do my little posts. But if you want me to cover the major UFC cards, I will absolutely do that because I do enjoy making these types of videos. So anyway, guys, thank you for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.